to Red Horror Tale. My name is Oxley. A woman was dragged from her bed in the middle of the night, inside a locked home in a sleeping city, and no one heard a thing. 8 people were murdered in Austin, Texas, between December of 1884 and December of 1885. Most of the victims were young African-American women, domestic servants, asleep in their own quarters, attacked in darkness with an axe. Around 400 men were arrested. Not one was ever convicted. The writer O. Henry gave the unknown killer a name: the Servant Girl Annihilator, and the press called him the Midnight Assassin. But who he was, no one could say. Whether this was one killer or several was never proven. Eyewitness descriptions contradicted each other. The motive was never established, and it was never confirmed whether the killer fled, died, or simply stopped. That question, who moved through Austin after dark and was never caught, has gone unanswered for over 140 years. I'm glad you're here, because we're going to lay every piece of evidence out together, and by the end, the question of who did this is yours to answer. Chapter 1. The City That Slept. Austin, Texas, December 1884. A killer moved through this city at night, through locked doors, through sleeping households, as if the walls themselves offered no resistance. 8 people would be murdered before it was over. Most were young African-American women, domestic servants, attacked in their beds in the small hours when the city was entirely still. The weapon, in most cases, was an axe. The attacks came without warning. No forced entry that anyone could explain. No clear sign of how the killer arrived or left. Fear settled over Austin like a second darkness. People barred their windows, yet it made no difference. The killings stretched across a full year, December 1884 to December 1885. Among the victims, Mollie Smith, Eliza Shelley, Irene Cross, Mary Ramey, Gracie Vance. Names the city would struggle to hold on to. Here is the detail that stays with you. Think about it with me. Each victim was found inside, behind walls that should have protected them. So who were the people targeted first? And what, if anything, did they share that someone in the dark already knew? Let's open the board. The location: Austin, Texas, United States. And Mollie Smith, the first victim. Chapter 2. The women no one protected. Austin, Texas, December 1884. A city of roughly 15,000 people, and a killer no one could see. The first victim was Mollie Smith. She was a young African-American woman, employed as a domestic servant. Eliza Shelley, Irene Cross, Mary Ramey, Gracie Vance, each one young, each one working in service. They lived in the yards and outbuildings of the households that employed them. Each woman was attacked at night, inside her own dwelling, mostly with an axe. Their social position left them almost entirely without protection. Authorities were slow to treat these deaths as a pattern. The women no one came quickly to save. Their deaths recorded, then moved past. Now, pause with me here, just for a moment. Investigators at the time noted one detail common to nearly every scene, and then, quietly, set it aside. What was that detail? And why was it buried? On the board so far, Mollie Smith, the first victim. Now we pin up Susan Hancock, Eula Phillips, the final victims. Chapter 3. 400 suspects. By the spring of 1885, Austin was unraveling. 8 people were dead, and no one had been charged. The city's answer was to arrest nearly everyone. Close to 400 men were taken in for questioning. A reward was offered, hoping money would do what the law could not. Citizens formed night patrols, moving through the dark in uneasy groups. The press fed the fear, calling the unknown killer the servant girl annihilator. Austin was frightened, and frightened cities make desperate decisions. Out of 400 arrests, one man, James Phillips, was convicted. Think about that for a moment. One conviction from 400 men. Then that conviction was overturned. Insufficient evidence. The case collapsed, and the killer was never identified. On the board so far, Susan Hancock, Eula Phillips, the final victims. Now we pin up unknown, the unidentified killer. Chapter 4. The Easy Answer. Austin, Texas, 1885. 8 people murdered, all attacked at night, all inside their own homes. The early pattern seemed clear, almost uncomfortably clear. Most victims were young African-American women, working as domestic servants in Austin households. Mollie Smith, Eliza Shelley, Irene Cross, Mary Ramey, Gracie Vance. Investigators noticed it immediately. The killer moved through a very specific world. The theory took shape. Someone who knew these women, knew their routines, knew how to reach them. It was the easy answer, and for a time, it held. Then came December of 1885. Susan Hancock, Eula Phillips, both married white women, no connection to domestic service. The theory, every clean, logical piece of it, collapsed. Think about what that means. If these killings share one hand, then the motive was never what anyone assumed. So what was it? On the board so far, unknown, the unidentified killer. Now we pin up December 1884. Mollie Smith killed. Murders begin. Chapter 5. One weapon, one shadow. 8 murders, 1 year, 1 city. Every attack came at night. Every victim was taken inside her own home. And in nearly every case, the weapon was an axe. The pattern held. Crime scene after crime scene, all the way through 1885. Now, here is your first piece of evidence. That consistency, the hour, the place, the weapon. What do you make of it? Does it point to one calculated mind, or a pattern anyone could have followed? Investigators at the time asked the same question. Eyewitnesses had seen a figure near the scenes, but their descriptions contradicted each other so completely, they seemed to describe different people entirely. One shadow, or many? On the board so far, December 1884, Mollie Smith killed. Murders begin. Now we pin up 1885. 6 more victims attacked at night. Chapter 6. The press names a monster. By 1885, Austin had a name for its fear. The writer O. Henry coined it. The servant girl annihilator. 3 words, and a monster was born. The press ran with it. Other papers preferred a different name. The Midnight Assassin. Both names did the same thing. They gave the city a single, coherent enemy, but the evidence never confirmed a single killer. Eyewitness descriptions contradicted each other. The press shaped what the public feared, and some historians argue what investigators looked for. 8 victims were murdered across a single year. Mollie Smith, Eliza Shelley, Irene Cross, Mary Ramey, Gracie Vance, Susan Hancock, Eula Phillips, and 1 more. Consider what you know so far. 1 name, 1 narrative, 400 arrests, and no conviction that held. What does that tell you about what the press named and what the investigation missed? And here is the question the headlines buried. If this killer wanted to terrorize Austin, why did the attacks eventually stop? On the board so far, 1885. 6 more victims attacked at night. Now we pin up December 1885. Final 2 victims killed. Chapter 7. One person or many. 8 victims. 1 year. 1 city. The question the investigation never answered. Was this one killer or many? The method stayed consistent. An axe at night inside the home. But the eyewitness accounts told different stories. Descriptions of the attacker shifted. Height, build, race, none of them matched. Then the victim profile changed. The first victims were young African-American women working as domestic servants. The final 2 were married white women, a shift no one has ever fully explained. Some investigators believed the change in victims meant a change in killer. Others pointed to the method, the same instrument, the same hour, and said, one hand did this. Now, think about this with me for a moment. Almost every scene shared one circumstance, something we planted back in Chapter 2, and it still hasn't been explained. Does that shared circumstance point to one person with a specific opportunity, or something else entirely? On the board so far, December 1885. Final 2 victims killed. Now we pin up late 1885. Murders stop. Killer never found. Chapter 8. The thread they missed. 8 attacks, 8 nights, and in nearly every one, a detail hiding in plain sight. The victims were domestic servants, women who slept in outbuildings, in quarters separate from the main house. Their quarters were not locked away. They were accessible, reached without entering the employer's home. Someone knew the layout. Someone knew which door led where, and which light would not be burning. Austin, in 1885, was a working city, and a city that moved at night. Certain workers, nightmen, haulers, those who serviced properties after dark, had reason to be out, and reason to know which yards to enter. The thread is this: access. Repeated, intimate, unquestioned access to the exact spaces where the victims slept. Think about what that means. Whoever did this could arrive without raising alarm. They belonged in the dark. Hold that thought with me for a moment, because this is where I want you to weigh the evidence. If the thread of access runs through nearly every scene, what does that tell you about the timeline? And who could have moved through all of it? The investigators in 1885 arrested nearly 400 men, and still, this thread was never followed to a name. If the answer was there, hiding in a pattern of access and routine, why did it lead nowhere? On the board so far, late 1885, murders stop, killer never found. Now we pin up a key clue: axe used in attacks. Chapter 9. Why did it stop? December 1885. The axe fell one last time, and then nothing. Austin hired more officers. Citizens formed night patrols. Rewards were offered. The killings stopped. No arrest, no confession, no body carried out of town. History leaves exactly 3 possibilities. The killer fled Austin, moved on, found new shadows somewhere else, or the killer died by accident, illness, or someone else's hand, and no one ever knew why the murders had stopped. Or And this is the possibility that sits heaviest. The killer simply chose to stop. Think about what that means. Think about what kind of will that requires. I want to ask you something. Weigh this with me. 8 murders in 12 months, then silence. Does that fit someone running, someone dying, or someone in control? None of those 3 answers can be proven. Not one. What kind of person could move through a city, leave 8 people dead, and vanish so completely that even now we cannot find a single certain thread back to them? On the board so far, a key clue: axe used in attacks. Now we pin up a key clue: contradicting eyewitness descriptions. Chapter 10. Your turn. The board is full. 8 victims, 1 city, 12 months of darkness. The killings began in December 1884 and ended just as suddenly in December 1885. Most victims were young African-American women, domestic servants, attacked at night inside their homes. The weapon, in most cases, was an axe. Then, in the final months, the killer shifted. The last 2 victims were married white women. About 400 men were arrested, and every single one walked free. Eyewitnesses described someone, but their accounts contradicted each other. The only conviction was later overturned for insufficient evidence. More police offered rewards, armed night patrols, and then silence. Now, I want you to sit with all of it. The timeline, the method, the shift in victims, the thread no one followed. What does it say to you? Who did this? One person or several? We do not know. Why it stopped? We do not know. Austin kept their secrets, and so did whoever walked those nights. Share your theory, not an accusation, just a reading of the evidence, in the comments below. Subscribe, because there is one more question this case has never answered, and we are not finished yet. On the board so far, a key clue, contradicting eyewitness descriptions. Now we pin up a key clue: 400 arrested, no convictions upheld.